Get a drill.
Freedom is very fragile. It's more fragile when we don't know the truth. You're about to be part of FramersView, where truth is the foundation of every day's program. Join us live every weekday right here on Rumble at 1 p.m. Eastern. Now, here's Neil Frame on FramersView.
Here's Neil Frame on FramersView. Welcome to the show. It is the 30th of June. We're not going to have a 31st this month, we decided. It just, it's a decision you have to sometimes make. Okay, what do I have on? Yeah, sound and reality are two different things when you're trying to do a show on your own. Welcome to the show. Hey, as I said, it's the last day of the month. It's the second day of the week of going into the 250 celebration for 4th of July, which is this Saturday. And looking at the weather, hopefully you guys have great weather. We've got some stories about that too. Man, it's hot everywhere, and it's only June. We haven't gotten into the July and August heat, whatever that means based on where we are today. But we're going to be here, and we're going to continue doing the show. Celebration, man. Bring it on. Well, hey, listen, right now, all of you foreigners, get your wives pregnant, get your girlfriends pregnant, bring them to the U.S. and have them have their babies here. That is the solution of all time. When you read the Constitution, here's the deal. Citizenship, birthright citizenship, and we'll get into a bit of this today, but the birthright citizenship idea was designed to protect those people that were coming into the United States when this country was just getting started. Now we've got millions and millions of people that are coming into this country, having their babies, and now they can vote. They're all part of politics. Not to mention what the Chinese are doing, which we'll get to here in a little bit. But it's pretty scary because you look at the Constitution. I can see how the Supreme Court justices could look at that either way and say, this is the reading and this is the way I see it, and somebody else sees it a different way. But my point is this. We're in a totally different time. We have got to, probably we're going to have to do an amendment to the Constitution because it doesn't make any sense any longer. This is bad news for our country. And this is a secondary way, other than opening the border. This is a secondary way to be able to accomplish what they want, and that is they being the Dems. They want, which is bring all the people in you can and get them into this country and let them vote. Don't have the SAVE Act. Can't have that. Can't prove your citizenship. Have citizenship, and then you get to have them vote. Yeah, it's perfect. I mean, how could you hope to have anything better? I think the answer is you could hope to have things better. Just my opinion. Hey, the Dems hate. They may not be able to get straight by at the beginning of this election. Not that I care, but their hate and their idiocy, which I'm going to show you today. I mean, I have video after video of the nonsense, of the hate, of the out of control, and the unethical steps that some people make, and then they act like they never really did it. There's the problem. The Dems get to just do what they want to do. And then after they start doing what they want to do, then they do something different. And the press doesn't say, oh, wait a minute, didn't you just say last month, last week, last year, whenever, that's not going to happen, or we're going to make this because it's right for everyone or whatever? We'll get into that today. No pride, no brains, no ethics. That's a big one. We get some more history of the 1800s. We did the 1700s yesterday. We'll do 1900s tomorrow. We'll do the 2000s on Thursday, and Friday will be the current 2020s. And I do this because there's no civics in class. Genesee Boy texted me and did a comment, actually, and he said, hey, we don't have civics. We don't have economics anymore. Think about that. If you're over probably 40, you remember sitting in civics class. You remember having history class. You in high school, your course was you had an economics class or you had history. You could do one or the other, but you were going to look at that. And as soon as you do history, you recognize economics. I was big in both, so I got involved in both in school. But the point is, we're not understanding where we are with our history, and that means the stupid things we do will repeat. We're going to pack the court. I've got a suggestion on that today. Also, Iran and some capital successes that's going on. So we're going to be here for a whole hour. Buckle up, get your crayon and paper, make notes, take notes, and make sure you turn them into the teacher. Oh, and we got a stupid story from a WNBA issue story with some guy that, well, you'll see when I show you, you'll understand. So let's get to it, man. Hey, I mentioned to you that the Dems just can't have any fun, and they have to hate, and they get up every morning. There's some people I know, they are so miserable. They wake up in the morning, and the first thing they think about is that Trump's in office. The second thing they think of is they don't have power. The third thing they think of is how can we destroy the politics and the country as it is. Next thing they think about is how can we make America not America anymore and make it a socialist country and have it that way while we live. And then, of course, it'll crash and we'll have to come back to the other way, which is what's happening in Europe right now and other countries when they're running away from socialism. But the hate, that's another story. And I think when you see this, you'll understand what I mean. This is Scott Jennings. Scott Jennings is one of my favorite guys. He's on CNN. He is a capitalist Republican believer in America, and he is so brave to get on that in that studio and talk to these people, both on the dais when they do that, and other interviews with, Caitlin and other people that bring him on. Watch this. This is just great.
Are the Democrats who seem to be criticizing every single thing Trump wants to do to celebrate the country's birthday. They're fun haters. They're fun vacuums. They don't love America as much as Donald Trump. They're still sourpusses that he's the president while this awesome celebration is going on. That's what I'm criticizing this. Why do they have to be such fun vacuums? This is cool. Teddy Roosevelt had boxing matches at the White House. Donald Trump is the modern Teddy Roosevelt. And I agree with Jamal. When you win the White House, you get to do things at the White House. This is very in line with the president's brand. And it's cool, which I guess is why Democrats hate it.
Yeah, they hate it. And it is cruel. That is true. But think about this. He's making such a great point. They're hate crushers. They're happy crushers. They hate. And that doesn't accomplish anything. You may think it does. And the ones that want to hate also are going to fall into that realm of hate. The other part of it is the ones that just can't believe. I showed you the videos the other day of the people who just can't believe that Trump won. Well, believe it, because he promised to do stuff that people wanted. And guess what happened after that? He did them. He's doing them. The gas prices are coming down. Food prices are coming down. I bought gas for $3.20 something. Somebody told me that they saw some gas under $3 here in Colorado. Wow. And he being Trump and Burgum are both saying, hey, we're down to $68 a barrel. Fix your prices at the pump. Take care of America. Take care of this holiday. Get it down so when people are driving this holiday, they don't have to pay these ridiculous prices, because there's no reason to do it. Now, I said something the other day that nobody wants to talk about that sounds like I don't support the idea of dropping prices, but I also have to talk economics and logic. When you have gas in the tanks at your gas station, you have a price on that. There's a dollar amount that's on that gas. Whatever they pay for it, they paid that. They're not going to go under that and lose money. They're just not going to. Now, if you look at a Costco, when the fuel now is coming to them way less, they can lower the price. The little mom and pop shops, it's got a 20,000 gallon tank, and they go through that every 2 or 3 weeks. It takes time for them to get past it. Does that support the idea that we should keep the prices up high? No. I would suggest that we ought to be doing some kind of a holiday on taxes until that can get balanced. And if you look at California, that's a perfect example. I mean, the taxes on gasoline is soon going to be as much as what gasoline itself costs. And they're going to raise it again. And Newsom isn't going to do a damn thing about it. That's the scary part. The politicians that say they're taking care of you, they're not. They're going to do what they want to. And keep this in mind. Write down on your piece of paper $4 and have 20% tax. It's more than that, but 20% tax on gas. On that $4, that's 80 cents a gallon. Somebody puts in 20 gallons, that's $16. Think about that. That's a lot of money. So then they put all of that gas tax money into ridiculous things like giving benefits to illegals, taking care of the homeless, which don't need to be taken care of. If you just stopped them and you made them go get a job, then you can filter out all the ones that actually need it. But no, they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that here in Colorado. They're not going to do it in California. They're not going to do it in New York. They're not going to do it in Chicago. They're not going to do it in a lot of states that are blue states that don't give a rat's ass about anything other than tax money and spending. I mean, think about it. There's no other logic to it. If you were the great guy that wants to be the hero, you'd fix all of that. Right? Am I wrong? Tell me I'm wrong. I'm looking for something in the live chat that tells me I'm wrong. So we don't get ourselves in a point or a place where we fix things anymore. We just spend money. You know, I retired from the fire department. I wish I could tell you how many times I said at the fire department, we can't spend that. This is not our money. It's the taxpayers' money. And we have to be good custodians of that. Now I'm on the board of directors and I'm saying, yes, we can spend on this and this, but no, that doesn't make any sense. Actually, we've got a chief that's pretty damn good about that. Actually, he's excellent about that. So where are we now and where are we going to go? Well, the answer is that we're going to have to get the election to work for the people, and people have to vote. We're going to get into that as we go along today. But as we talk about that, I have to share this with you because, we covered up the insanity of what you shouldn't see. This is in Seattle. I probably don't have to say anything more. Our little friend in Seattle, that's the mayor that was living with her mom and dad before she became mayor. What are the chances? But they had their big parade, the Pride Parade. So they decide to go there naked. No, I'm not kidding. A parade naked with kids. Watch this. We'll catch it on the other side. There's a naked one. Do you believe this? Check this guy out, big fat boy with his tidy blueies on. Yeah, there's a guy, girl, whatever it is. There you go. Oh, here we go. If I told you this and didn't show it, you wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't believe it because it doesn't make any sense. Nobody would believe. Look at this. Look at these kids that are being exposed to this. Now, I would say, in fairness, parents, get the hell off the street. Take them someplace else. We don't need this. Don't need it in any way, shape, or form. But these people are out of control. And they think that they're sending a message. And they're sending a message to the same people that's in the street, naked, carrying banners. Other than that, we're repulsed by it. Why would somebody do that? And the answer is they are so out there, they're so lost control of things that they just can't get their head wrapped around. Don't keep doing this. But they don't think they're going to get any attention unless they throw it up this way. And honestly, they don't need this attention in Seattle. Everybody's a nut job there anyway that's out in the street. Not everybody in Seattle. But, you look at the mayor of Seattle telling people don't go to Starbucks. Do you know how many people Starbucks employed? They're pulling out, of course, out of Seattle because of her. But this goes on all the time with these people. They don't understand. They have no idea about economics. They have no understanding about the way things are, how people have to make money to be able to keep going. And it's not just them, it's the people that work for them. Do you want a raise? Then we have to do more business. You want to thwart the business? Then we're going to get rid of some of you, and there's no raises for the rest of you. How do you feel about that, you morons? Speaking of morons, I have I used to say the main moron, but she's actually getting overrun by other people that are morons. That's the only way I can describe it. This is the element of stupid. Talking about Elon Musk and AOC having a redheaded stepchild over this. Watch this.
We don't quote unquote have the money for a better and improved social safety net because we let assholes like Elon Musk gut Medicaid and gut Social Security in order for him to pay for his own tax cuts and B, his own $1 billion in private federal contracts. This guy takes billions and billions of your tax dollars, of your public funds. They are robbing us of the tiny slivers of what we have left in our collective public social safety net.
Man, what world does she live in? First of all, her saying that he's taking the taxes. He doesn't get tax money. He's not getting benefits. Now, does he not pay taxes? That's a claim that everybody likes to make. Well, I can't remember if it was 23 or 24, he paid $11 billion in taxes. 11 billion. Think about that. In 25, because the profits for Tesla have really been affected, their profits are way down. He's going to pay less taxes because there's less profit. And he's investing money, which we'll get into another story about that same type of thing. It just, she doesn't get it. And this idea that he is benefiting from the poor people not getting any money, not getting any help. The only people we're taking benefits from are illegals, which we should. I don't know why anybody would disagree with that. Why would we give our money? It's like having, you give your kids an allowance, right? You give them whatever allowance amount you give them. I think I got like $1, but that was a long time ago. $1 would buy something when I was a little kid. But my parents didn't go and give the money, whatever neighborhood people, whatever kids there were. Here's your allowance. They didn't do that because they're undocumented in our house. If they want to live in our house, they wouldn't have been happy with that. But if they want to live in the house, they might get, an allowance. But she thinks it's terrible that we're cutting SNAP and we're cutting Medicaid and we're cutting Medicare for people that don't deserve it. And we know that there's tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people that are dead that are getting Social Security. Somebody's getting that money. Those checks are going to somebody. And somebody's going to the mailbox and grabbing those checks. And we ought to catch them too. So that's the stupid, that's the no pride, the no brain, and then we have the no ethics. I've been a hard push against Gavin Newsom. This is a guy, at one point he decided he was gay, then he married somebody, I can't remember who it was, he married a woman, and then he wasn't gay, and then he's kind of gay, you watch him, we joke, everybody jokes about the way he crosses his legs, but that's kind of a gay thing. And he's not trustworthy, and he does stupid things. And this whole thing that's happening in in LA, and what he is allowing to happen in the state, LA being, of course, the mayor of LA, but, Karen Bass is just as bad as he is. But Newsom decided that he was going to give the undocumented the benefits. Everybody deserves that. Everybody has a right to that. And in 2022, he announced this. And he said, you're going to get all of these things. And we're going to give $3 billion. $3 billion. That, by the way, is California taxpayers' money. Now, I get it that there's, 30 or 40 million people in California, and they don't all pay taxes, but people are paying taxes to pay for these undocumented people. Does that make sense? No, but Newsom wants you to believe it does. So there's a little story here in 2022, and then what he has to say in 2025, which I will call your attention to when you get to the 2025 piece here. See him scratch his head as he's talking. Body language. This is the I don't want to say this piece. Watch this video.
A campaign on universal health care. We're delivering that. We are implementing our ideals. We are manifesting this principle, this fundamental notion that so many of us have been preaching for years and years and years. Universal health care for all, regardless of pre-existing condition, regardless of the ability to pay, and regardless of your immigration status. If you care not just about values and principles of morality, but if your only values and principles are advanced through economics, then that alone should be an argument in favor of universal health care, a pathway and a framework for 1.1 million undocumented residents in the state of California to avail themselves to high quality, comprehensive Medi-Cal care, long-term, short-term, preventative, as well as in-home support service care and coverage. We are moving forward with making decisions that not only address the concerns this year related to the 11.9 billion, but mindful that we need to tighten things up. We believe that people should have some skin in the game as it relates to contributions. So we are looking to a monthly premium. We are asking for something we ask all taxpayers of California.
Boy, don't you love it? So let's see. So we're giving it to everybody. It's going to be $3 billion. Turns out we're at 12 billion now. Not when I say we, California. 12 billion. And now he says, got to have skin in the game. You're going to have to pay a premium. So once again, all these people now have these benefits. And now he's saying you're going to have to pay the benefits. How in the hell is he going to collect it? Think about that. How will he collect those premiums for the people that are living on the street? Do they mail to their tent? Do they have a number for address? Do they put people out there to collect the money? Do you think they have that money? And when they go to the hospital to get taken care of because they've been told they get those benefits, do you think that anybody's going to do anything about it? It's still going to happen. These are the unending problems when you do stupid things, when you don't think of what are the consequences of making these decisions. And as long as I've been doing this show, I've been amazed at the times that I get emails or comments in my shows where people are upset with me saying that we have to take these benefits away from these people that are undocumented. We get benefits. I'm on Social Security. You know, I've got Medicare. But I paid into that. I paid taxes. I continue to pay taxes. You know, every dollar you make, you pay taxes on. And the people that are undocumented, they're not paying taxes. The people that have green cards, there are some people, you know, Mexicans, others that are in this country that are paying taxes. But wouldn't you ask yourself, how can they be undocumented? How can they not be citizens and have a Social Security number? Because you have to have that to be able to pay taxes. Help me out with that. You know, maybe I'm too stupid to figure it out. I'll wait. Somebody just asked me if I'm in California. No, I'm not. I got good friends in California, though. Very close friends. Who one of them could not afford to move. Not a chance to get away. But we can't keep making these stupid decisions. So my point here is this. With everybody that's going down these paths of socialism, then we have the history of America, the founders, the people who were brilliant enough to look at what was happening in Europe, in the United Kingdom in particular, what was happening there, what they were doing, what problems were occurring, the taxes they were paying clear back in the 1700s, and they had to figure out a way to make it happen. So here's the presidents of the 1800s. This is interesting. 1800s presidents, starting with Thomas Jefferson, then James Madison, James Monroe, John Quincy Adams, Andrew Jackson, Martin Van Buren, William Henry Harrison. Think about this. There were 22 presidents in the 1800s. Harrison died. James Tyler, Polk, Taylor, who also died in office, Fillmore, Pierce, Buchanan, Abraham Lincoln, who died in office, Andrew Johnson, Ulysses S. Grant, Rutherford B. Hayes, Garfield, who was assassinated, Chester Arthur, Grover Cleveland, Benjamin Harrison, Cleveland again. Yeah, he's the other guy other than Trump. And ending with William McKinley, where we have that beautiful mountain called Mount McKinley. I still call it that, including Mount Evans here in Colorado. Those who died were assassinated. Henry Harrison, Zachary Taylor, Abraham Lincoln, James Garfield, assassinated, died in office, assassinated. These 5 people died in the 1800s, 3 of which were assassinated. Trump said it's the most dangerous job you can have. And, you can kind of agree with that when you consider the fact that when there's a president that's 5 people die, 3 are assassinated in the 1800s. That's a lot. That's a lot. Of course, Abraham Lincoln, because he stopped slavery, you got to have a Democrat actor that goes in and shoots him in the head. Other people assassinated because they don't like him. I get it when you don't like somebody. I get it when you don't appreciate what those people are. I get it when you can't just accept what real is and vote to change it when it's time to change it. But if you don't do that, if you can't, it's just going to keep going. And socialism is going to continue. And capitalism continues. So I showed you about the presidents. You got 22 presidents. But more importantly, the capitalism of inventions. And I'm fascinated with that. My dad was involved in some inventions and that are widely used. And these are the inventions that happened in 1800. Electricity, of course, Thomas Jefferson. Really, Nikola Tesla. Now, for those of you that don't follow or understand history, Edison did, God, I always do this wrong. You got AC and DC. Edison did DC. Nikola did AC. The difference is DC can't be transmitted long distances. AC could. That's when you plug into your outlet. It's AC. It's alternating current. That was Tesla, but Edison gets the credit. Telephone, Alexander Graham Bell. Thomas Edison invented the light bulb. Steam engine. Nobody really knows who did that. A lot of people did it. The automobile. It wasn't. Some people think it was Henry Ford. No, it wasn't. It was Carl Benz, as in Mercedes-Benz. Did that in the 1800s. Christopher Scholes invented the typewriter. I am a fast typist. Not. Photography, Louis Daguerre. And then a sewing machine, Elias Howe, he invented it. It didn't work that well, and it was improved by Isaac Singer. I've got one of those to be able to sew things in the house. All of these things, the history is just amazing. Sorry, I already put that up there. So when we think about the 1800s and the history of inventions, it's a big deal. We need to recognize that. We need to appreciate what has happened, what we accomplished, and what is possibly going to continue. And voting matters because the people that do inventions, the presidents that are in office, what they can accomplish, both in inventions, business, and the president, is based on who's in office in the House and the Senate. We see that now. We can barely do anything because we have an itty-bitty little advantage in the in the House, and the Senate is just whacked out. So the big piece is the Supreme Court. That judicial branch is a big deal. And the Dems want to fix that. Watch this, and then we'll get into this. This is about expanding the Supreme Court. And I got some thoughts on that. Watch this.
We need to expand the Supreme Court, and here's why. For decades, the Republican Party has been chipping away at the foundation of our democracy. They use broken rules like the filibuster and the Electoral College to control the White House and Congress, even when they win fewer votes. And Mitch McConnell made up new rules so that Republicans could hijack America's Supreme Court, turning it into an extremist 6-3 conservative supermajority. Republicans steal power to ram through an extremist, unpopular agenda. This is not a court that represents the will of the people. We can't take this lying down. The only real solution now is to expand the Supreme Court. The Constitution gives Congress the authority to change the size of the Supreme Court, and Congress has used that authority 7 times before. Expansion is actually the only way to rebalance the court after Republicans stole 2 seats and undermined the legitimacy of the court. I'm co-sponsoring legislation by my friend Senator Markey that will expand the court by 4 seats, restore its integrity, and ensure equal justice for all.
Oh boy, isn't that wonderful that she's so thoughtful and going to solve all the problems? By the way, Mefford 213 commented, who are the people that who assassinated him? I was going to put that in there, but I've only got an hour. But I can continue that and get that more information tomorrow for you. This idea of expanding the court, I have a simple solution. Let's expand the court right now. How about that? Let's do it now. Let's add 4 seats, 4 Republican seats that are there forever. Elizabeth, you don't like it. Well, you just won something today, birthright citizenship. So you're pissed off at the Supreme Court for that? No. But what they want to do is they want to put all Democrats in there so that when things are I've had some comments on the chat about taxes. A lot of people about the taxes. Guess who can change or settle situations with taxes? 2 places, the Congress and the Supreme Court. When somebody does something that's going to be fought, it's going to be fought in a state Supreme Court usually before it gets to the U.S. Supreme Court. But that Supreme Court, you may like that at first. But what happens when a few of those Democrats happen to die or retire and there's a Republican in office? Which may never happen if the Democrats get power and they make Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico states and have 4 more senators that are Democrats. But looking at it today, everybody it's instantaneous. Elizabeth Warren is the perfect example of blah, 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 making no sense whatsoever, saying we got to add 4 seats to the Supreme Court, and we've done it before, and yes, we have. Roosevelt wanted to do it, and it didn't happen. You can't do that. The reason we have an uneven number so that you never have an even number when you're doing some kind of a vote of any kind, and the Supreme Court is the ultimate of that. So that's number 1. But number 2, what does 4 more do in her idea of adding 4 more people to the Supreme Court? Her idea is only to get more liberals in the Supreme Court so that they will make liberal decisions and they will have more power in the Congress. Tell me where I'm wrong. I'm not. That's what they're doing. It isn't about, trying to make it more democratic, more about the republic. It's not about that. We got to put 4 more people in, and they won't get done until we get into office. And then we're going to get rid of the filibuster and we're going to change things. But I will tell you this, to get the 4 more people in the Supreme Court, and this is my final point on this. After all that I've said, after all that she's said, here's the point. You'd have to have a constitutional amendment. And that takes, if I remember right, 75% of the House and the Senate. That probably won't happen. Probably won't happen. So what's Elizabeth trying to do and accomplish? Probably just have more control. That's all she wants. She just wants to control you and everything that happens and take everything away from you if she doesn't like you. Hate and craziness. Man, it's something else. It is something else. So we've got our deal going on with Iran. And, I've talked a lot about Iran. This has kind of become a non-story. By the way, before I go to Iran, remember that in Colorado today, we have a complete, whacked out, crazy woman that's running for a district here in Colorado that thinks that 9/11 was a good idea, that thinks Israel should be wiped off the map. She's a crazy person. She's going against Diana DeGette, which used to be considered a complete whacked out liberal. And she's getting eaten up by this woman. Diana DeGette may survive this, maybe. But I don't know, considering she's in the bluest blue you could possibly have. So we'll see what happens with that. Watch that in a theater drive-in near you. So Iran, I was going to talk about Iran. So here's the deal. Iran is, first of all, never going to do what they say they're going to do. They're always going to attack people. They're always going to try to reconstitute. They're going to always try to increase their uranium enrichment. They're just going to. And Trump knows that. He's trying to give them an out, give them a chance to resolve this without having their entire country blown up. I don't think they want that. I could be wrong, but I don't think they want that. But they just can't let go. So this is a story that was on Newsmax, talking about Iran and talking about the SAVE Act, which all kinds of ties together. Watch this.
The president saying, until you pass that Save America Act, I am not going to take action on the housing bill, although that will de facto become law within 10 days if he doesn't veto it. What do you expect to happen here?
Well, first of all, you heard that housing bill was the biggest bill. It was nothing but socialism, nothing but socialism. Now, let's get to the Save America Act. It is the most important bill in the Congress in decades, The president, yes, he had a little kerfuffle with the Senate behind closed doors yesterday, but look at what's happened. People are now talking about the Save America Act. And frankly, I think the American people want this. It's the most popular bill in America. And I think the pressure on the Senate will continue to ratchet up. I fully expect that. I think the president will stay on the offense. And we're going to be behind him, pushing to get the Save America Act. Again, it's the most important bill in Congress in decades.
Yeah, it is. And here's the thing about that. The SAVE Act, for those of you that don't get it, all we're saying is you've got to register and prove you're a citizen. That's pretty easy. Social Security card, passport, one of those things. Again, whatever you've done in your life, you've had to have ID. If you live in this country and you're a citizen, if you buy booze at the liquor store, if you get on an airplane, if you go to an event, anything you do, including going to political rallies, you have to have ID to get in. So this idea of this SAVE Act and Iran, those two things go together in this way. It's about voting, because they're trying to stop Trump from doing the war. There's the SAVE Act. We're trying to get people that are actual citizens that vote for the people that are trying to do these kind of things. It's all tied together. This isn't some magic, unexplained, not understood thing. It's just not. Everything ties to the next thing. It's just like the taxes. Trump did the no tax on tips, no tax on overtime. And then guess what happens? In our state here, you still have to pay tax on tips and overtime. And you know who gets the most overtime? Well, on average, the most overtime? Police and fire. Because they do extra shifts to be able to make more money. Because there is no path to them making $200,000-$300,000 a year, no matter how smart they are. They give everything. Everything. They stick their life on the line to do things for you when you're in trouble. As I used to say to recruits on the fire department, you know, when somebody dials 911, they're having the worst day of their life. It's our job to get there, to take care of them. And when you have overtime, you can make extra money. But no, you got to pay taxes in Colorado. There's a few states that are doing that. It's just crazy. How about cutting your expenses? Maybe that would work. Actually, it would. So, Iran attacking. We don't know who's attacking us. We know it's Iran or Iran. It's Iranians that are attacking us. But who is it? Is it the RGC? Is it a real military group? Or is it some lunatic that's got a shoulder missile and firing on people? That's what we don't know. Watch this.
General, the situation is so tense that the vice president confirmed that there's now a direct hotline that connects CENTCOM to the Revolutionary Guard because they're concerned there could be an accidental escalation. It's kind of like the Cold War Moscow-Washington hotline. Is that where the relationship is?
Yeah, I mean, this is the appropriate turn of events here. They fired on a ship. We don't know if Iran officially fired on a ship. It could have been a buck private who disregarded any rules of engagement he was given. We don't know. They're in chaos. They have no fewer than 4 separate regimes right now, one of which is negotiating with us. So what did we do? Just a little while ago, we went and started vaporizing a lot of targets in those islands, radars, drone sites, weapon stores. We will, if you do this type of stuff, we will go after you. But here's why the split and the two-faced nature of Iran right now. You've got these guys who are negotiating with us. They're civilians. They're trying. But they know that if they go to Tehran, they're going to be facing bullets from the very IRGC that knows there's only one way off the planet for them. The IRGC is an extinct species. It's just in its final throes, and we're going to have to deal with this right now. So there is more military action ahead, but there's also negotiations and diplomacy about what the final deal will be. In the last 5 days, we've seen revolts in the cities of Iran, and the people are starting now to take matters into their own hands. Why? There's no food and water. And so they're on.
Yeah, so they're on it. So this is a really fascinating turn of events. We've accomplished pushing this far enough along that food and water is becoming scarce. And when you have people hungry, when you have people thirsty, right now I'm in the middle of reading Lone Survivor. What an amazing book. And I'm getting towards the end of it. And he's talking about he had no water, and he was just devastated with no water, which if you've ever been short of water, you can start hallucinating. You lose a little bit of your common sense. It just, things don't work. And these people in Iran who already are not happy with the regime, now they're not getting food and water. So there's going to be a pushback. And that's when you can hope for the best, in that these people are going to eventually rise up against the Iranians. And I think we have to help them. I think we have to send stuff there, get it covertly, get it in there, give them the support and the help that they need, and let them fix their own problem. And we be on the background helping them all we can. No boots on the ground. I don't think we need it. So with that said, capitalism on our side helps us be able to help those people in Israel, the people in Iran that needs help to be able to stop the Iranian regime. And I want to show you a story about creation of things that is capitalism. Look at this. How American engineers unlocked the impossible beneath the Gulf of America. Some of the most compelling evidence of American exceptionalism today is happening thousands of feet below the surface of the Gulf of America, where our offshore industry has spent more than a decade solving one of the hardest engineering problems in the history of energy. More than 100 miles offshore from the Gulf, a geological layer of sandstone and shale rock deep beneath the seabed, called the Pelagian, that holds tens of billions of barrels of oil. For years, most of it was considered unattainable. The reservoir pressures, it's up to 20,000 pounds per square inch where they are down there to be able to get this oil. That's the ship that they're using that on. That's a really expensive ship there, really expensive. The results speak for themselves. Chevron's Anchor project came online in 2024, representing roughly $5.7 billion in development spending. Stop here. Chevron won't pay taxes on $5.7 billion of income based on that expense of research and development. I refer back to Musk and people who claim that the companies don't pay tax. Well, they're spending $5.7 billion to develop a way to be able to get this oil. Beacon Offshore's Shenandoah is also producing oil and natural gas. BP's development plan for its $5 billion Cascada project has secured federal approval and is moving forward toward first production. This isn't just a game. These people are doing these things, and it's really expensive to do this. So what do? They spend this money, and they've got a tax credit that they can take. They can deduct that from their income and pay tax on the balance. That's how business works. You make enough money to be able to do research and development, to be able to provide something. Will they make more money because of it? Yay, yes, they will. Will we have lower tax prices? Will we have other advantages that puts us in a better spot? Yes, we will. And those inventions and creations of solutions are a big deal. Now let's go back to the history. We were talking about Europe and the United Kingdom. Well, their legacy, everything is old, and guess what they don't have? Watch this.
I've got an 8-month-old baby and a 3-year-old. And my baby monitor last night said that both rooms at 7 o'clock at night, which is their bedtime, was 31 degrees. Wow. And Kate, like I think you said earlier, that the guidance is if the room is 29 degrees or over, children under 5 should not be in them. Now, what do? Where do I put them? They have to go to sleep.
So you put the aircon on?
So I put the aircon on.
And Bjorn, one of the things is that the graphic says, is it selfish to use air conditioning? You are actually in London. It is sweltering there. Tell us what you think.
It is. I'm in a room that's not air conditioned, which, of course, most rooms in Europe are not. As your statistics show, 80% are not air conditioned. And the real point here is We've had this technology for more than a century, and Europe doesn't want to use it mostly because they want to feel virtuous. But the virtue has real cost, as you showed. Almost 300 people had died already. But the reality is that it's going to be many, many more. We estimate that without U.S. level air conditioning, about 26,000 people might die every year.
Wow. Now, that estimate of how many people are going to die, we don't know that any more than anything else. There's statistics, and you can spread that out and project that, but we don't know that. But she said 29 degrees. She's talking Celsius, which is in the 80s. 80 degrees. Not having air conditioning is brutal. Now, I live in the foothills in Colorado. It's cooler because we're at 8,000 feet. But it's not cold. Yesterday, it was 80 degrees outside. And guess what? I don't have air conditioning. And it's 80 degrees, 85 degrees in the house. It's miserable. And we get 10 to 15 days like that in the summer. But we have the same heat system that Europe has. The hot water heat. Many, many people in this state have hot water heat. There's no vents. There's no flowing air from a heat system blowing air, hot air, or air conditioning sending the cold air into your house. So the virtuous idea of not putting something in is crazy. Now, in London, it's hot a lot. And to not put on air conditioning? Are you kidding me? You can do what they call a mini split, and that'll help the problem. It doesn't solve the problem, but you don't need vents. It goes up in the ceiling. There's an air conditioning unit that sits outside. You can have multiple units, a bedroom one, a living room one, a kitchen one, whatever. It costs money, but if you don't want to put up with the heat, go buy them, put them in, and you've got air conditioning. For 10 or 15 years, it isn't worth it to me, but I'm a little cheap. But anyway, the point is that that's the virtue. Stop it. Help yourself out. Final story. I don't do sports very often. I say that too often now. I'm doing sports because the WNBA, which I used to laugh at because there wasn't much talent, there's a massive amount of talent now. And the reason for that is there's girls basketball in grade school and high school and in college, and it was getting attention. And the girls are playing more, and the girls are getting better. They're able to play the game. And then you get somebody like Caitlin Clark, who has saved this terrible nightmare of the WNBA that had nobody coming to the games. And there she is throwing 3-pointers from the half court line. I'm not that far, but sometimes, but she's amazing. And she's a Larry Bird female basketball player. Watch this guy that says, we don't need her anymore.
The W at this junction in time would be better without Caitlin Clark because she is a bigger distraction than she is an additive. Caitlin Clark has gotten the WNBA over the necessary threshold they needed. Now people are watching. Now we realize, there's talent in the W, talent that's actually even greater than Caitlin Clark. And I'm not just talking about bigs like Asia. I'm talking about the Olivia Miles. I'm talking about the Paige Beckers. Hell, I'm talking about the Kelsey Mitchells. Caitlin got the necessary eyes there. But now that the eyes are there, we don't necessarily need her anymore. Caitlin did what only Caitlin could do, and we don't necessarily need her to do anymore. Thank you, Caitlin. We can take it from here.
What an idiot. Okay, first of all, he's obviously campaigning for his favorite players. And all the black players do not like this white girl coming in and making them look bad. That's understood. They don't like the fact that she's scoring so much. So they're beating on her. And the refs aren't doing anything about it. And we don't need her. Well, let's think about that for 1 second. Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Shaquille O'Neal. We could name many that were the big names in basketball and are. Let Nikola Jokic from the Denver Nuggets, take him out of the game. The game isn't the same. When Caitlin Clark was injured in Indianapolis when they had a game, the stadium was half full because she wasn't there. So this idiot that says these things, it's just stupid. We don't need her anymore. She can go away. Yeah, why don't you go to the European League? You're going to make more money and you're going to be fine. I don't want her to do that. Hey, we're here every Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern time, and appreciate you being here. Had a lot of questions about that. Yes, I am here during the week, 1 o'clock each day. I will talk to you tomorrow. We're going to have some history tomorrow on the 1900s, and that's going to be an interesting one. There's a lot to talk about there and a lot of news stories. We'll have the results from the Tuesday elections, see what happens with that, and we'll have a little fun. Till then, have yourself a good time. Rock on.
Thanks for your support. Join the FramersView Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern. Thanks for your support. Join the FramersView Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern.